Welcome to the Father Focus podcast.
Father Focus.
Check.
Why are we talking about this? Why does it matter?
So shaping your kids into powerful people.
Bro, let that brother fly.
Check.
All right, let's
You
go.
ready?
All right, let's go. I'm with myself. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Father Focus podcast. We are so excited to have you listening in today. So blessed to be able to be a part of this. Listen, if this podcast, Father Focus, is an encouragement to you, just like to just start off by asking you to share, like, subscribe. We're pushing it right now on YouTube, so particularly if you could go there and just leave a comment, review, rating, anything under 5 stars. We don't want it, no, but
That's
seriously, we just want to thank you for that. Guys, how y'all doing today?
I'm doing well, man.
Yeah.
Glad to
Good.
be
You
here.
didn't say the tagline.
Excited.
Well, I don't do it every time.
Doesn't do it every time.
If I have to,
We haven't
go
agreed
back.
on it yet, you know.
No, I've agreed
Nathan
on it. I
hasn't
just
agreed.
don't know if I sell it every time.
Okay, gotcha. All right. I'm just trying to figure out
The
flow here.
podcast by fathers for fathers.
There we go.
Yeah, okay, there it is.
I just couldn't mentally get there until you said it.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Well, listen. Well, I'm glad you're here now.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this episode,
Me too.
guys.
Let's go.
We have another guest today. This is going to be our second of third NFL football
Wow.
players. Super
Come
excited
on.
to have Fred Stokes
Let's
on
go.
with us today. Thank you.
Warm.
Thank you, man, for being here today. So just I was doing a little research on you. This is pretty cool. Won a Super Bowl in '91, I think it was, with the Redskins, which is interesting because I remember, coming up.
Wait, are you wearing it today?
He's got it
He's
on.
got it
He
on.
got
If
the
you're watching,
ring
if
on.
you're not on video,
I
go
saw
on
it.
video.
Go on
He's
YouTube.
got it
He's got a
on.
little bling on.
Yeah,
just a little
yeah.
bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
He didn't lose it like Gronk.
Yeah. No, that
Oh,
was
no, Gronk. It was
Kelsey. I think
Kelsey
it was
lost his ring.
Jason Kelsey lost his
Jason,
Super Bowl
Jason.
ring in a pool, and they have no idea where it was. I'm like, oh, okay. But so I was doing a little research. I actually liked the Redskins for a little while because the Saints
We
were
sucked.
no good.
Yeah.
They were awful. And so just the Redskins team, that was like one of the first times I remember hearing about a Super Bowl team. That was the first memory I have. So you would have been on that team. But interesting enough
Crazy.
is you were playing the Bills, who for that 4-year stretch, they were, and I don't remember what years it was, but they were a dominant team and they were a good
Yeah.
team. And it's you were a defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
And the Redskins had one of the top defenses in the league that year, which is an amazing accomplishment, taking them to the Super Bowl. But Jim Kelly, I mean, he is a stud. And in the Super Bowl, 2 touchdowns, but 4 interceptions, which means the defensive ends
Because
were
we're
getting
on
to them. They were hurting them. Their running backs, they have Hall of Famer Thurman Thomas getting
Yeah.
13 yards
13 yards.
in the Super Bowl. And this
That's
dude
crazy.
is an animal.
He was a beast.
Like he was an amazing athlete, and you held him to on the biggest stage of his career. You held him to 13
Let's go.
yards.
Locking
That's
them down.
exciting. And you had, I don't think they really carried defensive stats back then like they do now, but
No,
I think it was.
no, don't.
Oh, they-
no,
well,
they
no,
don't.
no, no.
He's
Well,
gonna tell you.
Yeah,
I'm
he-
saying I couldn't see it. I had to go dig in a little
He
deeper.
needs to set the record
Yeah,
straight
yeah.
before
Two
we
and a
let us know.
half
Yeah.
sacks.
2.5 sacks, a caused fumble, and a fumble recovery.
Fumble recovery, but on I think it was the 14-yard line, if I remember right. It was like inside the 20.
No, I don't.
Or maybe
I
that
don't-
was
yeah,
one of
I
those-
don't remember.
I'm
what
pretty
exactly-
sure it
yeah,
was.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
or maybe it was the one you recovered. I think the one you recovered was inside the 20, which was obviously great field position
Mhm.
and set the team up for a win. How was that?
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
man.
man, glad you're here.
Fathers, and I'm a father too of 3.
Nice.
Lance, Landon, and Luke. They're 32, 30, and 28. 2 of them are married. Lance is married. Have our oldest grandchild, Brooklyn, and she's be 4 next month. And then Landon, our middle son, has 2, Ruth and Ezra. Ruth
Good
will be
names.
4 in September, I think, somewhere there about. And then Ezra just turned 2. And then Luke is not married. He's down in St. Pete. He's an entrepreneur. So glad to be here. But yeah, man, playing the Super Bowl was amazing. And you mentioned a couple of times, which I love getting into these conversations with our guy when you start picking individual players out, right? Just having played the game at the highest level when they start picking the LeBrons and the Michaels
Yeah,
and
sure.
the greatest players of
Ooh,
the
we should
world.
talk
But you
about
can
that.
do it in golf. I mean,
Yeah.
you can say Tiger Woods or
Right.
Jack Nicklaus or whoever you want to
Yeah.
say the greatest golfer because they're out there hitting that ball. And they still have a coach but they're hitting it themselves. They're not hitting a drive and then go, okay, can you hit my approach shot and then I'll putt it. No. You're doing all this. In our sport, the team sport, Jim Kelly had a bunch of guys around him blocking like crazy. He's a great quarterback.
Yeah.
It just never came together for him in the Super Bowl, with the exception of when they played the Giants. They did everything they could on offense. They did everything they could on defense. And then they asked the kicker to do his part. And he missed the field goal.
He missed it, yep.
Right? Tom Brady has a kicker who made 2 long field goals.
Yeah.
Adam Vinatieri. He misses both of those. Tom doesn't have 2 rings.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? If the Seattle Seahawks give the ball to the best running back in the world,
Marshawn
They're
Lynch.
2
winning.
yards
They're
from the
winning.
goal line,
Oh.
Tom doesn't have the 3rd Super Bowl.
Yeah.
No.
If the Atlanta Falcons run the
Would've-
ball
Right.
and stop
Throwing
passing the ball,
passes.
Tom Brady doesn't have the 4th
Fourth
Super Bowl
Super
ring. So he has 7.
Yeah.
So he really ends up with what?
3.
3, maybe.
Drew Brees is the GOAT.
Drew Brees,
I know.
Drew Brees, Peyton Manning,
Yeah.
Aaron
Aaron Rodgers. You played
Aaron
up there?
Rodgers, San Francisco quarterback who I played against,
Joe Montana.
Joe Montana,
Montana.
4 Super Bowls, no interceptions. You know, you
Yeah.
had great GOATs before that. But when you
Right,
talk about
okay.
Super Bowl rings, yeah, he's a GOAT in terms of having 7 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
But saying he's the best quarterback ever, you said it. We had the best defense, one of the best defense of all the Super Bowls that I played in up until that time.
Oh, nice.
But we had a great offense.
Okay.
We had a great kicker in
Right,
Chip Lowmiller. We had a great special teams. So it's all the 3 phases of that game. So
Yeah.
anyway, I kind of got
Interesting.
off track. But
Oh, that's
when
good.
we mentioned
Cool.
team
It's
sport,
really good.
Yeah.
it goes to this. It's family, it's husband, it's wife, it's the kids, it's the whole group making a, you know what I'm saying? So I get caught up in that on my
That's
soapbox.
awesome.
No.
But
all
the
good.
team kept sticking out to me. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I mean, we all love team sports. I mean, and we're all fathers. And that's a team sport, if I could, make that analogy. I mean, it takes a team to raise kids, and in the
Family.
perfect world, right? You need a wife, you need a husband involved in that context, and it's.
I know you're
great.
trying to. Maybe you're not trying to skirt this issue, but I want to address it again.
Oh,
go ahead.
So typically, every time I interview a guest, Jeremy asks a question. And I know you didn't play basketball, but you have a more informed
did play
opinion than
basketball in
the
high school,
average fan.
yeah.
So he likes to say, we don't feel like it's debatable, but he says, who's a GOAT, Jordan or LeBron? And we would love your expert opinion to continue to bury his perspective. But I don't know. What do you think?
one of the guys, I'm not sure if it was Magic Johnson or somebody said, it's very hard to tag that person, right? Because you got different eras,
Right.
The 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the rule change. Back in the day when Michael Jordan played, you go into the lane, Isaiah Thomas,
Woof.
Bill Laimbeer, Rick
Allen
Mahorn.
Iverson, who
Yeah.
was a tiny guy.
Yeah.
You're going to get your tail
Yep.
kicked.
Yep.
You're going to get your butt knocked off.
Yeah.
If you go into the lane,
GP.
you get GP. I
Yeah,
mean,
all
you
them
getting.
guys.
I mean, you could bump guys. You can really get up on guys. Now you
Tackle.
touch a guy. I think
flopping.
LeBron got tapped on the head one time. He just, oh my god.
for a couple of minutes.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. He's just so. And
But
even
that's
in
because he got
football.
had hair plugs. So
Yeah.
I'm sure it
It
really
probably
Oh,
pulled
my
hurt.
something.
God.
So haven't
Wow.
played at that level. If I hadn't played the game at that level and understood the nuances of the game, that it takes the whole family, it takes the whole team.
Yeah.
One of our coaches, he's passed away now. Can't think of his name, with the Redskins. He said, guys, we should have at least one game, maybe 2, where we can attribute that win to the special teams alone. Offense couldn't do squat.
Right.
Defense, you couldn't hold them, but the special teams kicked a long field goal, or somebody ran one
Punt
back,
return,
or a
mhm.
punt
Kickoff
return, or
return,
something.
mhm.
Kickoff. So you say we won this game because of special teams, not because the offense and defense. We had the Hogs, but so it's hard to answer and say that who's the GOAT, LeBron or Michael. Michael has 6. He played a tough time, but he didn't start winning really till you got Scottie Pippen, you got Dennis
Why are you
Rodman.
looking at me like
you
that?
kicking it out to Paxson.
Yeah.
That's it.
Or Kerr. Yep.
Yep.
And
And
you
then you
got
got
a
LeBron
rebound
James
king.
has gotten
Yeah.
that same type of help too as well.
Yeah,
So do
say
you
that
feel like
again.
it's debatable? You feel like it's like
Help.
there's a
You hear
debate
that?
there
Chris
I think
Bosh.
those guys are the best.
in their
In their era.
respective era?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Michael Jordan, nobody was better. You can say he's better in terms of his psyche than LeBron because of what he had to deal with. LeBron didn't have to deal with that. But in his era, there's nobody better.
What do you think some of the commentary, and we'll change
Yeah,
subject,
no,
it's
no,
just
no.
interesting.
I'm
some of the
enjoying it.
commentators say they think in today's game Jordan would average 50 plus a game. What do you think
In
about that?
today's game, I don't even know if Jordan would be, if everything equal with what he needed to push him. I don't know if he would be at that level because
Hmm,
Jordan.
interesting.
Yeah, because the
He rose
Detroit
up.
Pistons and the Bad Boys, they pissed him off so much.
He rose up.
Yeah, it made him
Yeah.
go to another level. He scored 50, 60 points before, and they lost. You know, he scored 60 points again, somewhere 50 or 60 points against the Celtics, and they lost. But that causes him to go to the next level. Sometimes adversity and
Pushes you, yeah.
it pushes you, it drives you. It just puts you on
good.
another level. I
That's a
played
good
against one of the best tackles I thought at the time was Jumbo Elliott. He played left tackle for the Giants. I'm a right defensive end, so every Sunday I'm playing against the blind side, the guy.
That's
The
the
best
That's
guy.
the
Yeah,
best
that's
guy
right.
in the
That's
line.
right.
So
That's
that's
the
my
best
job.
guy.
I'm going against that guy.
Oh man.
And my brother-in-law calls me that night and says, "Hey, John Mad mentioned you on Monday Night Football." And I was like, "Oh, cool." He's like, "Yeah, see right here, Jumbo Elliott just pancakes Fred Stokes."
Oh no.
I was like, "What?" It pissed me off. So what did it cause me to do? Get stronger.
Yes,
To
let's
work
go.
on my technique.
Let's
And
go.
after that, he and I had some battles. When I went to the Rams, Jumbo ended up, I think, with the Jets. We still had battles. And we communicated a lot.
That's fun.
But it just pushes you. I don't know if Jordan would be the type of player he is
interesting,
or was
yeah.
if he didn't have the physicality that he had.
So he bloomed in adversity.
Yes.
In a
Yes.
certain sense.
And that's what he thrives on.
Yeah.
I mean,
He
he
thrives
loves
on
betting. He
resistance.
loves the challenge. He loves
Yeah.
if he didn't, and some of the quarterbacks, some of the best, they create these fictitious
Yeah,
they hate me
narratives.
and
Yeah.
nobody wants me to win. Okay, yeah, you know,
It's
it's like-
tension,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like what? Nobody,
They
we like
perform
you.
better.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You don't like me. Say you don't like me. We
Yeah,
love you.
yeah.
No, I need you to hate me.
Right.
Okay, so last question about sports, and then we'll move on to.
I had another question too.
All right, well, then
Let's
no,
do
go
it.
ahead. We're good.
Okay.
But my question is I've always loved football. I was not really good. I could throw decent, but this is like when I say
it's
decent.
not worth mentioning in
It's
the
not-
presence
no.
of an NFL player.
I'm saying in the context of me and Nathan.
Sure, in our tiny little world, that doesn't matter. Okay, sure. whatever.
Who is the best running back you ever played against? Who would you say?
Let me-
Is that a hard one? Is that
You've got.
He had an era of running backs.
You've got.
I know that's why
what I'm saying.
I'm
His era-
interested
that
to hear
era.
your
You got
especially
era
on the
running backs.
you're a defensive guy.
But let's take their after football life off the table, right? Because
Okay.
the same happened with Pete Rose,
Mhm.
right? And to me, and that's a whole nother subject when you try to determine Hall of Fame or the legitimacy of it when you talk about off the field. It's like, what did I do on the field?
Okay,
Yeah, I made
right.
some mistakes off the field, that kind of
Sure.
stuff. So you look at Jim Brown, O.J. Simpson, Chicago Bears,
Walter.
Walter Payton, and number 40. Gail Sayers.
Oh yeah, the Bears,
You know, you can
yeah.
go all the way through that, right? All those running backs. You got the Beast in Houston with the legs. Earl Campbell.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, so
He
you
played
go
for the Saints too.
He had
for-
exactly. So
bruiser,
you go through
too.
all of those running backs, and then like you say with eras, to me, it all was about blocking, right? The team sport. Those 5 offensive
Gotcha,
linemen
okay.
pushing. Because if we can't stop the offensive line, the running back gets 100 yards or 200 yards. But if we can stop them, he gets the Thurman Thomas. He gets a few yards. But there's a guy that is an exception to that rule. His
Barry
name is
Sanders.
Barry
Barry
Sanders.
Sanders. Come on.
Barry Sanders.
Come on.
God, I mean, he could get out of a chicken house with 2 foxes in there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he can be like, have the fox like, where'd he go?
Mhm.
He was, if he'd have been in, if he would, and there's no, you mentioned Emmitt Smith.
If he
I
had
think
that line.
If he had Emmitt Smith's
Oh,
line,
my goodness.
the rushing record would be unobtainable. It would be, I mean, it would be crazy.
Wow.
But you could see what happened when he did have the line, when they were blocking, he gets 2,000 yards. But Barry Sanders,
I remember
by far.
Yeah, my first NFL game was actually it was the Saints versus Lions, and I remember there was a play. He ran like 40 yards as a penalty. They go back 10 yards. He ran like 50 yards. Like the next
Backwards?
play, yeah, no,
Oh,
like
forward.
another 50, another penalty. So now they're back down, and then he runs again, runs like another 35, and it was like 3rd down by that point.
Yes.
You know, and he runs like 35 yards.
Yes.
So he ran
Yes.
that much, and then he's tired. He's he just ran 100+
He
yards.
had all the instincts that tailbacks need. You know,
Mhm.
that you can feel somebody there,
Yes.
or the hole in high school, a hole opens like this for the
Mhm.
running back.
Yeah. Yeah.
In college, it goes. In the pros, it goes.
Boom. Wow.
So if you don't hit it now,
Yeah.
it's over. And Barry had that
Wow.
instinct to do it.
He
And if
did.
that hole closed, he could stop
He could
and go
cut
that
back.
way. Oh my God!
Yeah. He could see a hole was going to open somewhere before it opened
Dude,
up. He could
crazy,
read things.
crazy.
Who did we
Yeah.
play? The
He was fun
Tim
to watch.
Johnson. Tim Johnson. He was on that team too.
Yeah.
The Redskins.
My teammate, Tim
Yeah,
Johnson.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So we interviewed him. He actually said the same thing. He was
Yes.
like, "Man, Barry."
See,
He said
so
we
we were
actually
like
got fussed
fanboys.
at. He said
They
we
were
got fussed
fanboys.
at by one of our coaches because we're like, "Oh my gosh!" And they're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you got to get
Yeah.
angry. We're playing him." He's like,
Right.
"Yeah, but it's hard because he's
Yeah.
amazing."
Yeah.
You know?
Watching him was like watching the great linebacker Lawrence Taylor. I mean, when Barry was on the field, a lot of times you want to sit down because you're watching the offense doing their thing. You know, you're sitting down talking, going over plays, gathering your thoughts, maybe trying to re-energize so you can get some water and some refreshments. Barry Sanders on the field, a lot of times you're going like,
Really?
What's he going?
Wow.
like and as Tim said, you're like, oh,
You don't want to miss
yeah,
anything.
yeah. When Lawrence
Yeah.
Taylor was on the field, you're like, oh, that's Lawrence Taylor, but you're trying not to cheer. You're like, oh,
Right, yeah.
like,
That's awesome.
we're playing. Don't get a sack.
Yeah.
Oh, you got a sack.
Oh,
my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
It was crazy.
Well, it actually reminds me. So in our church in Michigan, so I lived in Detroit for a while. One of the guys in our church was on the team on the Lions. He was a running back, but he didn't really play much. And he said the same thing about Barry Sanders. He said, as a teammate, I was in awe of the guy. He said there's levels to this thing. And he said he was at a level that was unattainable. He
Yeah.
said like other players just
Yeah.
couldn't even understand or
Yeah.
fathom who he was. But
Oh, he could do that.
yeah, but I think my question's pretty related. It's like you played sports at the highest level, and I'm sure there's some guys you looked at and you're like, and maybe you already answered the question, Lawrence Taylor, Barry Sanders. Who were some of the guys that you looked at and just like made your jaw drop? You were like, how do they do what they do? It was just beyond training or skill. It was just
Barry
God-given.
Sanders was one. Deion Sanders was the other.
okay.
We were playing against the Falcons. Deion was playing baseball. Excuse me. And so our coach was like, we don't think he's going to play. He's trying to do too much. He's trying to
Yeah.
come from baseball to football. And at the time, it's almost like life. Sometimes we don't glorify people or really accept their glory or their greatness until after they're gone or after their accomplishment has been obtained. And then you go, oh, that was a great guy. That was a great person. But their greatness is happening right before you. You just don't see it. So he goes, yeah, he's trying to do all this stuff. He's going to be here, but I doubt he's going to play because he's just going to be coming into the game. But he's Deion Sanders. So let's be aware of that. Let's be aware. So the
Yeah.
first half we played, they had some, it's crazy. It's sad to say to this guy because it's an insult that we don't know his name. Like I can't, they had another punt returner in there. I don't know who he was, but he was in there. Second half, we go out, Deion Sanders in the game. We're on the sideline. It's like, oh, shoot, we're getting the punt. Deion's out there. Deion's out there. So we stand on the sideline. They punt the ball to him. We punt the ball to him. He looks up. He looks down. He's looking up at the ball. He's looking down. He's looking up. And he's going. And he catches the ball. Boom. And it's like he froze for like a split second. He goes.
Yeah, he's done.
And it's like, boom. And then next thing you know, he's doing the dance.
Dancing.
And we're on the sideline go, oh, my, did you see that?
Yeah.
Dude, he just scored against us. We
Wow.
over here like the girls or
Dang,
something like.
yeah.
Yeah.
Deion
Yeah.
was.
Hey,
But the thing about Deion, which I love, and as I speak to kids when I travel, Deion studied the game. So he
Yes.
had the gift, but he didn't take for granted his gifts or the craft. That
Preparation.
his
Yeah.
he
prep.
had both. Huh?
He
Wow.
had both.
Yeah.
And you're that fast and that good. Darryl Green is another.
I was gonna say, who's faster out of the two of them?
Darryl Green won the fast man competition like 6 or 7 times in a row.
Okay.
At 50 years old, he ran I'm in New Orleans. He's in his 14th. Well, he wasn't 50 then, but Darryl was in his 14th year when I was in New Orleans. He had the fastest time of all the defensive backs,
Wow.
Dang,
including
he could
rookies.
just
So we're
run.
talking to our rookies and saying,
You can't.
Darryl
touch
Green
him.
is in his 14th year. He's faster than you.
Man.
What about
Moving.
Bo Jackson? Where does he fit into this?
To me, Bo is not. Bo had a lot of media hype, right? Herschel Walker is faster. Herschel Walker, yeah.
I
I
loved him.
was
I
I was
liked
speaking
him.
with Herschel at an event in Delaware, and the kids asked, the crowd asked, who's faster, you or Bo? And I'm there off to the side, and so I'm looking because I played against both of them. So I'm like, okay, let me see. This is gonna be interesting. And he looks at the guy who asked the question. And he looks in the audience. He says, without smiling, he says, "Bo cannot touch me." And some of the kids started. I even kind of chuckled. And he said it again with more authority. "Ask Bo, he cannot touch me."
Dang.
I was like, okay. But remember, he was on the bobsled team. He was on the
Herschel
4x100.
Walker.
Herschel
Yeah,
Walker
he was a
He was
beast.
an
Yeah.
Olympic runner.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was a beast.
For a
Yeah,
big
Bo
guy.
talks about all that trash. Bo
And a
did
poet.
stuff.
Yeah.
Bo did stuff like he ran through the end zone like he couldn't stop, and of course he did run past the Bosworth
Bosworth.
in Seattle, and he was fast. But Herschel, freshman.
Okay, good to
Dang,
know.
that's crazy.
This is fascinating.
Yeah.
That
I
is
love
interesting.
it.
So
Yeah.
so to kind of like transition a little bit, you started football from what I read, senior year of high school.
Mhm.
You were basketball, I think track and
Yeah.
baseball. I don't remember.
Loved basketball.
Yeah.
If God would have allowed me, he'd have let me be a basketball player. Yeah,
Your
loved
senior year.
basketball. Yeah, I only played my senior year. I only played just to get another bar on my Letterman's jacket.
Okay,
That
football.
was
My
football.
goodness.
Yeah. Okay. So
And
then,
the first week I played, I got Player of the Week.
So
come
you
on.
were
Oh,
a
no doubt.
beast.
No, I did.
Oh,
I mean, I
man.
got Player of the
That's
Week.
what
I
I'm
got
like.
touchdown. I got tackles because you're playing both ways.
Right.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah,
What
in
did
high
you
school,
play?
you're
in high
playing
school?
both ways. I played defensive end. I played tight end. I was the kicker. I kicked off.
All of it.
Every time I
That-
kicked the ball, this
dang, that's wild.
So you were Cordell Stewart before there was a Cordell Stewart. You were doing
I was,
everything.
dude, I
Kicking,
I
punting,
kicked the ball off
returning.
in the end zone. Even in college, we were practicing, and I kicked a 50-yard field goal.
Come on.
Yeah, just practice. But
That's awesome.
But that was a negative for me because it came so easy. And so when I played my senior year, it wasn't to go to college. It wasn't to think about the NFL. Just simple as I wanted another bar on my Letterman's jacket
Yeah.
so the girls can see.
Come on.
And then I got
Okay.
a full scholarship to go to college.
Okay.
Playing football for 1 year.
Playing football
Yeah.
for 1 year.
And went to
Yeah.
college.
Man.
in
Georgia Southern
Georgia.
University,
Yep.
School of Champions.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about it.
And and you won national championship there too.
Twice.
I'm sorry.
And then total, we
Two.
won like 6 or 7. But I mean, that's
Do your research.
I mean,
bro.
real
Come on,
talk,
it's-
bro. Real talk. No,
There's a
not
lot
not
of,
just real talk, but real championships.
Yeah.
Not where somebody sits at a table and vote on you. And
Hey.
then they say
I
your
got
strength
you.
of
Yep.
schedule.
Yep.
Really? Well, if your team beat his team, then his team can't beat his team because it's like, no, let's play the game on the field.
Come on.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, so
So we-
two national championships,
Two
Super
national
Bowl ring. Okay, so transitioning through college, go to the NFL. So you spent from, let's say you're 17, 18 years old in high school all the way through. And I believe you retired at about 32, 33 years old, finished with the Saints. What was that transition period? Because you spent, a good, I don't know,
16
14,
years.
16 years
of football.
in
of my life.
football. This is your life. Obviously, you loved it. Hard times for sure. Victories,
Injuries, yeah.
all but your life is invested, and you don't play in the NFL if you're not dedicated, like in both fields, like mentally, physically, putting everything on the table. I mean, these are the best athletes in the world. But how was your life like transitioning out of that? You're done, ringing the bell, I'm retiring, and making the switch to like normal life, say it like that. What was that like?
For me, that's a great question. For me, looking back, I love this, right? I found myself enjoying being in front of the camera and behind the camera. I thought that I wanted to do ESPN type stuff, right? So I wish, looking back, when I transitioned out of the league, that I'd have done more prep time, and I really was looking for some property up near Atlanta because I said, hey, I'm going to get a job with ESPN. I'm going to be traveling,
Okay.
and that's what I'm going to do. You're never ready mentally to get out of that game because your mind is always on it. I was cutting the grass the fall or the late summer after I retired. So I didn't go to minicamp, didn't go to training camp in July. I'm cutting the grass in August or September because I live in Georgia, so we still got grass and growing.
Yep.
And I wake up one morning and I smell the grass, and I stopped because that aroma just made me freeze. Like, I'm not in football anymore because you're in that dirt,
Okay.
you're in that grass, and I just had a moment. It was just a somber moment. I didn't get emotional where it drew me to tears, but I just thought, wow, I'm not in football anymore. But because I didn't identify myself as a football player, I identified myself as a man that was very fortunate, very blessed to play at this level because I only played 1 year high school football. Because at Georgia Southern, I played no defense, not a lick. I played no defense in college, and I got drafted as a defensive end.
Oh wow!
That's what I was.
No defense.
So you were all offense.
I played offense.
So we're talking about transition afterward, and you're in college, and you played 1 year of high school. Now you're playing in college. You starting right?
I didn't. I went to college I got drafted. Recruited as a tight end.
Okay.
The year I played, I was really good at tight end. Even though I played defensive end in high school, I was really good as tight end. I could run. I mean, I went to state in track. I went to state in high hurdles, the 110 high hurdles. I went to state in high jump, and I missed triple jump going to state. So I was an athlete. I could really run. Yeah. I had 6'4", 6'4.5". I could jump out the gym. We played against Kenny Skywalker, who won the slam dunk contest in the NBA. From the first tip, I out jumped him. He's 6'8", I'm 6'4.5". I jumped him. Now, come back in the second half, which they don't have tip in the second half. Now they just give the ball to the other team. He went up and really like, okay, I need to get off the floor.
He underestimated.
He underestimated because he thought I'm this good and jump. So to that point, I played no defense, and I didn't start because I wasn't focused on football.
Right.
I was still focused on basketball. I played intramural for 4 years.
Interesting.
Anytime they had a basketball falling off the rim, I'm going to get it.
While playing football.
While playing football.
That's what I wanted to know.
The basketball coach at Georgia Southern, Frank Kearns, was going to allow myself and Tracy Ham, the quarterback, to be on the basketball team. Now, how much I could have contributed, because I wasn't an outside shooter, but I was more of a Dennis Rodman type guy. I'm going to get the ball. I'm jumping. I won Defensive Player of the Year for our high school basketball team. So I had lateral movement, off the ball quickness. I just wasn't focused on football. So I didn't start. I just played and did enough to be on the team. And another coach, it just pissed him off because I did that.
So how long did it take you to get serious about it, to realize, man, I can go somewhere with this thing? Like, was it a coach? Was it coaches? Was it a mentor? I mean, when you're like, man, you can really go, you really got a gift.
It took, man, that's good. It took a coach coming into my area, right? Because as fathers, you guys have kids. You could say the same thing that I would say to your kids.
Yep.
You give me the words, and I go and, hey, go tell my daughter this, go tell my son this, especially guys. And I go, blah, 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 whatever. And they go, wow, It's like, your dad just said it. I changed it around.
Right.
Plus, I have this NFL jersey on, that number 60, and I have a Super Bowl ring.
That helps.
Right.
Yeah, that helps.
So, but when we get out of our comfort zone and we have to keep moving the dial, we have to keep fishing, changing bait like a fisherman, like, okay, this lure is not working. Let me put something else. Let me put a spinner. Let me put real bait on. Let me change. And so I had a coach that was doing that. It pissed him off. He played center at the university. I mean, literally. I mean, he was back in the day when you spitting in your face, grabbing your helmet, cursing you out, calling you all kind of things. Yes, stuff that kids would go crazy now if that happened.
They go on the transfer portal.
Oh my God, yeah. Not on the transfer portal. They want their dad to come and shoot the coach.
Yeah.
So that coach was doing that, and it didn't really motivate me. It was like, okay, yeah, I've got talent. Maybe you're pissed off because you didn't make it in the NFL, and now you want me to make it, and yada yada yada. But there was a coach who was our scouting coach, Dr. Spurgeon, very sharp guy. He came into my room at the dorm. He knocked on the door, came to my room, sat down, said, Fred, I want to talk to you. Okay. Now, this is after a couple of years, my third year there, still playing around. And he began to talk to me about life. He began to talk to me about being unselfish. He began to talk to me about team. He said, if you switched off the tackle, you are really good. He started telling me all of my assets and attributes and yada, 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 and how those things could benefit the team if I allowed it, because we need that. When you block, if you block hard enough, Gerald Harris, our running back, is going to score. He scored a touchdown. Tracy Ham, if you block, he's going to pass. If you do that enough, Fred, we win the game. Nice. And he talked team. Yeah.
Did you see that before he pointed it out?
Man.
No. Wow. I saw that I was selfish. I saw that if you piss me off, I'm going to knock your head off. Mm-hmm. And I could do that. But it took you pissing me off. It took me going to a level to motivate me because I wasn't about football. I didn't look at it from that angle. When he left my dorm room, I was like, I was blown away because this dude and he stayed for about 2 hours.
Yeah. He's a father.
His father.
Yeah, just talking.
I was going to say, that's the difference.
Yeah.
He fathered him. Yeah. Wow.
So you have this transition, high school, college, NFL. Your life is interesting. How you've had these jumps and I didn't know that you played offense. You went from offense to defense in the NFL, and then you're transitioning. Then you made a transition to like the business world. Like you are an entrepreneur. Like you have so many irons in the fire. Like, could you talk to us about that? Like, so part of my and I was curious about your life and where your mind was when you retired. Like, and you did mention, you're like, no, my identity was not I played football, loved it. Obviously you loved it. Great. And, you still value that, and you should. I was interested where your mind was, because I know some people, I've read stories of athletes who they retire and they're like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah. Identity crisis.
Crisis. Sure.
Grieving.
And maybe even people out there, not athletes, maybe they're 32 years old like you were, and they just find themselves like, dude, life is not what I thought it was going to be. Like, how do you, like somebody like you who's successful in all these different areas, and you go out, it's like, all right, I'm transitioning once again from the Super Bowl teams, and
You have to reinvent yourself.
reinvent yourself as an entrepreneur. What were your steps? Like, how did you start accomplishing and doing some of that?
Good question.
That's loaded, I know.
No, it's really a great question, because there's no solid answer to it other than God, right? And people say, well, that's not fair, because you just waxed over everything with God, you know. Me sitting here, having met the owner of this Hello Labs, how that happened, me sitting here with you guys. My life is not unlike you guys, where it just, my steps are ordered, and sometimes the plan that I've had is not the plan that happened. As I was doing things, sometimes something happened. In terms of the question about entrepreneur with the food, Fred Stokes sausage, right? Fred Stokes food, Fred Stokes sausage. A friend of mine, his family, Bubba Burgers, if you've heard of Bubba Burgers, right? Their family created Bubba Burgers. It's a frozen burger. It's a national company now, but I went to school with Edward, one of the guys, the sons from that company, that family. When I retired, he and I reconnected. I just came back. We actually went skiing together and did some other stuff while I was playing. So when I retired, we reconnected. I went on a couple of sales calls with him. I'm not trying to get in the food business. I'm just hanging out with my buddy. Next thing I know, fast forward, I'm working with a company now that he's working with, and I'm traveling all over the world going to military installations with a company called Advanced Foods. So it went from his family company to another major company. Now I'm traveling all over the world, meeting the likes again of Hershey and Bo and Franco Harris, who's passed away. And at one of the events, Jamie Foxx had been there before. So just a lot of stuff you're seeing. And then I get out of that because of something happened, that finances. And a guy calls me that owns a meat packing plant and said, hey, you know Jimmy Dean? You've heard of Jimmy Dean? Yeah. You've heard of George Foreman? Yeah. We'd like to do that with you.
Wow.
Really? How much would you charge us to brand a product with your name and likeness on it like Jimmy Dean did? You know he was a country music singer. I go, no. He go, yeah, he was a really good country music, but he branded a sausage. Okay. George Foreman, the George Foreman Grill.
Right.
I said, I'll call you back. So that happened. You know, sitting here, as I said, meeting the owner of this facility, Carlos, the playing football and then getting drafted, and then the things I did, going back to college, getting into speaking, all of those things for me, just been a God incidence. It's him mapping out my step and being obedient to that. And next thing you know, I'm doing something that I thought I would never be doing, owning a brand. And now I also have a nonprofit called Lint Brother, Life I Never Tell. And that talks about men getting down to the lint in their pocket, right? Which lint is in the bottom of your pocket. It's dirty, it's dark, it's nasty, it's hidden. Nobody knows it's there unless you turn your pockets inside out. Well, how did that happen? Because I almost committed suicide in '93 when I signed a multi-million-dollar contract with the Rams. But I didn't know I was going to be talking about this. So that was a part of my life. So, and I know we can sit here and probably trade stories back and forth of how you got here, but that's, even though I played at the highest level, won a Super Bowl, probably was a play away from winning MVP of the Super Bowl. If I get another sack, my name was mentioned, as they told me later. If I'd have gotten another sack, I went MVP of the Super Bowl.
Wow.
But that didn't need to be the narrative of my life for me to be sitting here with you guys.
Yeah. How close were you to that other sack? Did you get close at all?
No. I'll tell you how close I was. I was so tired. I was exhausted. I came off the field. Jason Buck, who was backing me up at the time, Jason runs on the field. I'm kneeling down. I'm getting some water. I'm watching the next play so I can get ready to get back in. They snap the ball. Jim Kelly rolls to my side. Jason's in the game. Jason rolls out, grabs him, and sacks him. And I'm going,
no.
Oh. That was you. And I'm thinking, okay, the selfish part of me would have been, but the other part of me says, if I would have been in there as tired as I was, he would have gotten around me. He could have completed the pass.
Yeah.
It could have changed the whole trajectory of the game.
Wow.
But that's how close I was.
And also, what a cool moment for him too.
That's
to
what I
say
said at that
he
moment.
got a sack in the Super Bowl.
At that moment, I said, sitting here with you guys now talking to my family, I said that very moment, I said, you know what? You're being selfish. Celebrate your teammate.
Yeah.
I said at some point in his life, he'll be able to tell his kids, when he has kids, that your dad got a sack in the Super Bowl.
When it was my time, I went to work, baby.
Yeah. He can make it big time.
And now this is a random thought, and
Okay.
I'm going to stop. But I wonder if, like, you know, if cornerbacks get substituted, quarterbacks know that. So you see, you know, Stokes, number 60's out of the game. So I can roll that way. Maybe he wouldn't have rolled that way if you were in the game.
That does happen.
You know,
that happens.
You know, he's like,
we do it as individuals too. So if you're in the game and you and I are battling, you have to go out for the game for a minute, and you come in as his backup. we're saying on defense, like, let's catch him while he's still stretching.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
before he gets lathered up, because you want to get you off the sideline. You're not
Yeah.
sweating. You getting in, and the first play, dude, I'm going to your chest like nobody.
I did that to Jermaine all the time.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
No,
And-
So, but that's a good question, though. Yeah, quarterbacks do it, and we do it too.
Yeah.
As well.
Well, I'm interested. You talk about men's lint in their pockets. The reality is men hide their pain. We're really good at it. We suppress things. We put on a brave face. So it's very interesting. I mean, we hear these stories often. You're at the peak of your career. You just signed a multi-million-dollar contract. From the outside, it's like, this guy's got it all, right? But then there's this internal pain you're dealing with. I think we talk to so many men who carry this. You would have no idea. Then you find out they killed themselves. They're struggling with this. They got divorced. They have all these secret addictions. Like, talk through that time in your life, and then maybe even talk to men that are in the middle of that. Like, obviously you've come out of that. You're in a better place now. Like, give hope to those guys. So maybe share where you started and how you got through it.
Great question. So here's the concept. You guys are on this podcast together. You don't have to answer this, but you can answer it internally. Like, how well do you truly know each other? Right? You're on the podcast together. So at some point in time, you guys say, hey, let's do a podcast together because we know each other. We can talk about this. There's some commonality there. But how many times does that happen? And to your point, the guy leaves his family and you go, I didn't even know they were struggling.
Yeah.
Like, we were just out to dinner together and they were laughing and talking. I didn't even know she had, boom. The guy quits his job. Same thing. And at the ultimate destruction, he kills himself. And somebody goes, I didn't know. Like, dude, we just celebrate. And I've got story after story after story after story of those incidents. One in particular, a friend of mine owns a dealership in Georgia, Ford dealership. They were celebrating this kid, this young man, and I think he was getting ready to get married in 3 weeks or something like that. He killed himself the next day. And he was at the dealership, worked at the dealership, talking about getting married in 3 weeks. He kills himself. I'm at another event where I was speaking to corporate guys, multi-million-dollar guys, $50 million companies, revenues, gross revenue sales, all presidents. One of the guys in there stands up and says he's struggling because his vice president just killed himself this weekend. He walks into his home in front of his wife and 3 little girls and shot himself in the head.
Oh,
no. I can go on and on. Another lady, her husband goes to the trash in the country. I lived in the country. We had to take our trash off. We didn't take it to the curb. I had almost 100 acres of land.
You drive it out.
You drove it out to these big dumpsters,
Yeah.
right? And you put it in big dumpsters. He goes to the dumpster. She's thinking he's probably talking to somebody like he always does. Time goes by. Times go by. Finally, it gets dark. It's late. They drive to where the dumpster is. He's sitting in his pickup truck. He shot himself in the head at the dumpster. It's time and time and time again. So going back to the question, how well do you know the guy? It's that concept of home improvement with Wilson on the other side of the fence. Hey, what's up, dude? Oh, man, I'm good. What's up, baby? How you doing? You don't know what's happening here.
Wow.
So I was that way. I've got a multi-million-dollar contract. I've got 2 kids, Lance and Landon. I've got 3 houses, including my mom's house in Georgia, a house in LA, a house in Virginia, which I still had. But I was struggling internally. Nobody knew. So we call it hiding in plain sight. And as God would have it, he was taking me on a course that would put me right in, smack dab into myself, where I would have to talk about it. And the more I talked about it, the more men and women would come up and say, my uncle, my dad, my brother, my cousin, my friend, struggling. And if they didn't commit suicide, they're struggling with anxiety or depression or whatever it is.
Do you feel comfortable talking about what your psyche was at that point?
Oh, no doubt.
What were the triggers for you? What were the things you were struggling through?
The thing I was struggling with was the fact that I was one way outside and I didn't have another guy. We call it getting down to the lint. Have a lint brother list of 3 to 5 guys that you can get down to the lint with. The lint in your pocket, right? Because I was dealing with my own issues, my wife and I were battling with just stuff. I had nobody to talk to about it. She was trying to leave, and she was like, I'm going to leave, and this and another. And so I'm driving home from training. I'm hurt, too. First time I'd gotten hurt like that.
Okay.
So the team had gone to play the Green Bay Packers. I'm at training camp because I'm behind. It's doing spring ball. Doing training camp, so wasn't doing the season. So I stayed behind, get treatment. I'm feeling sorry for myself. I'm struggling with my wife. We've got stuff going on. I'm making bad decisions, 2 kids, and I'm just doing crazy stuff. But then the limelight is like, what's up, guys? Hey, how you? Yes, this is Fred Stokes. Love to have you on. And man, that's great. You do. And internally, I hear this voice, you're a hypocrite. Like, what if people find out who you really are? Like you're struggling with personal issues, you're struggling with your wife, you're struggling with life itself, but you can't talk to anybody. As soon as you get in front of a camera or signing autographs, it's like, hey guys, what's going on? You're a hypocrite. You just kill yourself. And next thing you know, bro, I'm crying because it's true. It was true. I put my left foot out the window of a brand new Jeep I'm driving, and I was driving 85 miles an hour, getting ready to hit a pole and kill myself.
Wow.
And only God intervened.
What stopped you?
God.
What happened? What happened?
All I know is I'm crying, and what happens is the enemy beats you up to say you're dirt, you're just dirt, you're nothing, you're filthy, you're rag, you're yada, yada, yada. Everybody's got it going on.
A lot of accusation.
Yes, everybody has it going on, but you, look at him. He's smiling, look at you. Why you're not smiling? He's talking about his kids, his family, his job. What are you doing? Oh, you just lost your job. Yeah. And he beats you down. And so as I'm beat down, it's like, put your foot out the window. So I take my foot, put it out the window.
Wow.
Driving 85 miles an hour, and I'm going, yeah, I'm going to kill myself because my wife will get the insurance. The world would never know that I had these battles internally. Yeah. They would never know that I was not the person every day that I said I was. Okay. And as I'm driving up over this hill, all I know is as I get to the top of the hill, I'm rolling. I can't even hardly see the road. Something happened. I want to say the light, but it's almost like you're daydreaming and they go, hey, and you go, oh, I'm sorry. You're like, dude, I was thinking about something. Your eyes are focused on, but your mind is somewhere else. Yep. And it's almost like God really got my attention, and my first reflexes were to just hit the brakes. I mean, I didn't my foot's still out the window. When I came to my senses of where I was in space, I didn't even know I was at the traffic light. I just knew whoa, and I hit the brakes, and I slid to the intersection, and the front of my truck was in the road, and nobody was coming. Wow. This is at a major intersection. Wow. The light's red. Nobody was coming. I sat there, dude. It was like the apocalypse. Like this is the end of the world. Like I'm the only person in the. And I backed my truck up. I'm crying now profusely, and all I was saying out loud was, "I want to live. I want to live. I don't care if my wife leaves me. I don't care if I have a dime in the bank. I don't care about the Super Bowl ring. I don't care about anything. I want to live. I don't want to die." And then somebody blew behind me, kind of got my attention, like, "Bomb," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and wipe my tears and get home. And I shared that with my wife. I didn't really have a relationship with my dad at the time either. That's right. And a real good relationship, even though we increased that relationship the last 15 years of his life. He was a pastor. There was a lot of issues in my life that I dealt with. I had sex way too early. Just a lot of things. I always thought I'd marry an older woman because it's 17 years old, I'm dating this girl, 24 years old. At 19, I'm sleeping with a lady who's 33 years old. I mean, that's just was my life. And then I get in the NFL, and it's like, cha-ching. Yeah. It's like, you got to get out of jail free card. Mm-hmm. It's like a rap. You don't need a rap. You don't need a pickup line. It's like,
I'm on the.
It's like, hi, how are you doing?
Yeah.
It was easy. It's like more of the same, man. And then that lifestyle and just all the other stuff I was dealing with, family, it just came crashing down.
Wow.
And my wife, instead of saying she's going to leave me like she normally would,
right,
she just says, as she's looking at me, staring at me, and I'm thinking, she's going to kill me. Right. I'm seriously, because I'm thinking she's got the gun and because she's sitting next to me on the couch. I've got to go back to training camp. And I'm like, I'm telling her, I don't know my dad. I'm having issues with that. I'm having issues with, I had Sean and I, the guy who played beside me, we had almost 30 sacks, I think. I had 12 or 9, 10 or something. He had probably 10 or 12. I mean, we were balling out. So I really earned my money the first year. Now it's like take it up another level. Yeah. So all of that stuff. Well, now she looks at me and says, and she reaches for me, and I'm thinking, like, she's going to stab me. My mind was crazy. And she says, can I pray for you?
Oh, man.
Dude, I'm bawling. I am bawling because she didn't know I was getting ready to commit suicide hours before. And she prays for me, and then she leaves. I don't know where she went. I think she went upstairs, and I'm sitting here just dumbfounded, like, what just happened? Wow. Like, that's not the narrative that I heard in my head. And it's never the narrative. That's never the factual fear, what's going on. It's the fear of being found out. That's why you need a lint brother, 3 to 5 men that you can get down to the lint with, that you can say, hey, man, you can look through everything in there. My code is this. Ask me any question. And we ask the questions. Have you seen anything, said anything, done anything, or been anywhere that we need to talk about?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And when you do, it's, hey, man, thank you for trusting me with that information. But it doesn't happen overnight. You can't wake up, go to a guy and say, hey, man, can you be my lint brother?
Right.
Like, what?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What? No. So it happened over time, just like everything else has happened. Not playing football till I was a senior, getting a full scholarship, not playing defense, getting drafted to the right team, the Rams, and then going back to LA where this all unfolded with that near-death experience, so to speak, so that I can be a part of the narrative of helping other men kind of walk through that.
That's
and
awesome.
we got a curriculum called, it's the Lent Brother Encounter. It's a 7-session encounter that we take men through.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And how can they find that?
They can go online, lentbrother.com.
Okay.
Lentbrother.com, and they can reach out to us. We have a monthly newsletter that come out, and we're walking through that process.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Really awesome.
Hey, so
Interesting.
when at what point in your life would you say that you really surrendered your life to the Lord? Was it during the NFL career? After?
First, I was 11 or 12.
Okay.
But then coming back, having my prodigal son moment, I was my first year in the NFL in California. The Lakers had just won the Magic, and those guys had just won the NBA championship. And I'm thinking, I'm going to LA? I got drafted by the Rams? You taking all of this evilness to LA? And dude, I mean, I tried to party in every way I could. And they were partying. Eric Dickerson was on the team at the time too. No cameras, no phones, no. Didn't I see you last night? Nah, that wasn't me. Oh, okay. I thought it was you. No, bro, you didn't see me. It's like, oh, dude, no, dude, you didn't see me. No, hey, is this you?
Yeah,
so
right.
I was out there, and I found myself in a hotel room, man, after just wilding out. Woke up the next day crying, screaming,
I don't want
asking
this.
God, I'm going to die.
Wow.
Something's going to happen to me. I mean, because it was just all you can drink, all you can eat. It was a buffet bar
Of
like
sin, basically.
Just really,
just everything.
just you can
Unbridled.
You can. Oh my God! And for me, dude, that's what I did not need, but that's what I needed to get me to that point of surrender and totally saying I can't do this by myself.
Yeah.
That was it. My first year.
It's interesting. You in your story, just the correlation. You went from team to team. With the Lent brothers. You have a different team that you're playing on, right? And those brothers play a specific role to help one another, right? To help you and help others. The Bible says, "Confess your faults or your sins one to another."
Right.
Yeah.
But it wasn't obvious, right? In session 6, when we go all the way through the sessions, what is a Lent brother? We explain what it is. Okay, why do I need a man that close to me? Because men are not doing that.
Right.
We can talk
Not
about sex,
naturally,
drugs,
yep.
rock and roll. The third, we talk about kids. Don't ask me what I battle with. The things that we talk about from a Lent brother standpoint. What keeps you up at night, looking at the ceiling, right, with your eyes closed? Sometimes looking at the ceiling, thinking, or what keeps you preoccupied during the day? Like, just, man, even it could be about a baby, it could be about a job, it can be about buying a car, it can be about the next podcast. Okay, who are we gonna have on? Oh, dude, it's like, honey, stop thinking. Hey, what are you going to order for dinner? Oh, I'm sorry, honey. We got this podcast coming up. I haven't created the thing. I've got to get this. The last one I didn't. Just things, issues. Yeah. It's Lent, right? Yeah. Life I don't talk about because and she asked you can't explain it to her. Your buddy said, "Oh man, you wouldn't understand because you don't have a podcast." Well, what is it? It's Lent. All of us have it. So those things are happening from team to team without me consciously being aware of it, right? But in LA, and I'm talking to Charles Mann, Art Monk, Darryl Green, Monty Coleman, Mark Slareth, I'm doing battle with those guys, right? Darryl Green is one of my best friends to this day, and he and I talk about a lot of stuff. But David Rocker, who was an All-American at Auburn, got drafted to LA. David and I began to talk on the defensive line with Sean Gilbert and some of the other guys, and did not realize that was happening. After the fact, David reaches out to me one day and says, "Hey, I need to tell you something, and if I hear it again, I'm gonna have to kill you." So I started laughing because we're on the phone, and he wasn't laughing. And he tells it to me, and it is dark, it is Lent, dirty, and nasty. And I'm thinking, as he's telling me, I'm praying. I'm like, oh God, we have been talking. We played together for a number of years. I've been retired for a number of years. He lives in Atlanta now, so we still kept talking, getting down to the Lent. Talking about everything, this and that and other, but he went to a level that we hadn't gone before. That's why our proven process is commitment over time equals a Lent brother.
Good.
Yeah. C over T equals LB. Like E equals MC squared.
Right.
C over T, not just time, but commitment to this brother and begin to share and walk. So
Covenant.
he and I were walking together, and then he dipped. And I was like, okay. And he started talking. And I'm thinking, I have never heard this before. And we've been knowing each other for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And when he finished, the first thing I did, which we asked men to do, hey man, thank you for trusting me with that.
Yeah.
Because that's not easy.
Yep.
And then I said, the next thing I says, I need to tell you something. And if I hear it again, I'm going to have to kill you. And we started laughing. But that day we went somewhere, and I shared something. It wasn't on his level dark, but on my level dark.
Yeah,
because you may be struggling with,
Absolutely.
hey man, I've been carrying around this knife for the longest, and it's like, I feel bad. And it's like, dude, you got a knife? I've got a gun.
Yeah.
And then you may say, man, I got a stick that I've been carrying. You're like, a stick? Be like, yeah, it's the same.
But yeah.
It's the same in my book. And it's the issues that keep you preoccupied or keep you up at night.
So let me ask one last
Yeah,
question.
go for it. Go for it.
All right. So make it practical. I think we talked to so many guys. I mean, guys we know for a long time, good dudes. It's very common for us to hear men say, I have no one to talk to. I mean, it's very common. Very common.
Mm-hmm.
We have friends.
Yeah,
nobody
yeah, friend. Yeah.
go down
I
there
mean,
with. Yeah.
friends, right? Associations. You can hang out, but the deep stuff you don't tell anyone. For men, it seems like some type of mental, emotional hurdle that they don't even know how to overcome, right? It's just like they'll hear you say this and they'll be like, yeah, that's true, but I can't do that. I don't know where to start. I don't have anyone, right? There's all these excuses and reasons not to take the step. How do guys get past all the excuses to the reality that I have to find people to open up to? Like, where do they start? What do they do?
What we tell men is, that's a really good question, because that's the truth. We don't do it because we have this misconception or we've been lied to, we've been misled, we've been misinformed about what a real man is. Right?
It's good.
This is what
It's
a
good.
real man
Yeah.
does. He takes care of his family. He pays the bills. He has a job. He looks like this and talks like that. Oh, really? Really? I'll tell you what a real man does. A real man gets down to the lint with another man. And how does that happen to your question? It's the men in your life that you already have that you're meeting with. Let's say the three of you guys are knowing each other. And it's like you ask a question, hey, man, how are you doing? It's like, dude, I'm doing good. You're like, no, how are you really doing?
Yeah.
It's like, well, to be honest with you, man, I got this thing I'm thinking about with the podcast or this and that. And you're like, hey, man, cool. I mean, talk to me about it. Well, you talk about it. And you talk about it. And you may get to a plateau where that's all you talk about and that's as far as you know. But I'm committed to talking to you. And because I'm in your space all the time, somewhere along the line, something's going to happen in your life, because that's life. You're going to go, Jermaine, man, can I share something with you, bro? Can I ask you a question? It's like, hey, man, my wife did something the other day, man, and you probably never, dude, it just bothered the heck out of me. That's very simple.
Yeah.
Right? And then you go there. And so we just ask men to just stay committed.
Go there. Yeah.
Stay committed. And it's commitment over time. So it's not like you're looking for a lint brother. You just have a relationship and looking for more commitment from the brothers you have.
It's good.
Because if you're looking for a lint brother, you're not going to find them, because nobody's going to talk to you. But they're already talking.
Yeah.
I'm just asking you a question. Hey, man, I got a question to ask you.
Starts with the question.
Start with a question. Or hey, how are you doing? Man, how you really doing? I noticed the other day you didn't show up here. Or you share something. And it's intentional sharing, and I tell men to do this too, trying to develop more of a lint brother. Hey, man, can I share something with you? You're like, yeah, man. And then you share something small. Dude, I've been struggling about getting my gun permit, man. I know this whole thing about guns in America, yada, yada. Okay, let's talk. Now we're talking about more and more and more stuff. And it's not always the negative stuff. A lot of men don't even have another man they can truly celebrate with.
Wow.
They don't. You talk about the Super Bowl. When I won the Super Bowl, yeah, my wife wasn't even there, which she would have been, but I would have loved for my dad to have been there. Right? And there are things when I turned 50, when I turned 60, it's like those things too, because it's not just the negative stuff.
That's good.
But that's a really great question.
Good.
So we're trying to look for a lint
Man,
brother
that's really good.
instead of developing that. Don't look for him. Just you're becoming one and walking with him.
It's great.
I'm sorry,
It's
ahead.
great advice.
No,
Yeah.
I think that's great, and I think it works on in two different ways as well for everyone who's listening. Don't look for the guy, but you should definitely be willing to be the guy.
Become the guy.
Become the guy.
Become the
Brothers born
guy.
for adversity.
Yes. And so, man, we know that there are people out there who at times are just always looking for something, looking for someone to talk to. And we would encourage you, hey, go. You already have the circle. So just keep working at it. And we know that God is for you. God is with you. wanting to bring people in your life to encourage you, but also you are to be that for other people.
Yeah.
And y'all are going to bring healing.
Yeah, no
man,
doubt.
I just want to say thank you
Yes,
so
Fred,
much.
thank you so much, man.
One more time, if you could, as we're concluding this, would you just, however people can find you, would you just, let everybody know what's...
I really don't want to be found up for real.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
I was about to say.
No, I'm sorry.
Maybe not your address.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to be.
It's on Wikipedia.
Yeah, people say I found
Social
Jesus.
security
I was
number,
like, you
please,
found
for all the
Jesus. He
people
was
that
lost.
He found you, right?
But thank you, man, for that. But you can go. I'm on social media. I just got a new Instagram. It's Fred Stokes 60. Fred Stokes, the number 60. So I don't have
That's your
many
play
followers
number.
on there. So I'm getting that. We also have Instagram called Lent Brother.
Okay.
Lent Brother. Big Play Stokes is another that we didn't
Big
talk about.
Play.
Big Play Stokes.
And your teammates named you that,
Yeah,
right?
they're, of course, making a big play at the right time and all that stuff. The pivotal moments, they're like, oh, look at big play, and it just stuck.
That's awesome.
But you can find me on the social media, so I'm on all those platforms. But really go to our website, lentbrother.com.
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 Awesome. Well, thank you once again for being here
thank you,
with
Fred.
us. Yeah. And listen, I want to thank each and every one of you for listening. However you're listening on whatever platform, we thank you so much. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'd love to get this message out to as many guys as will listen, many guys, fathers, dads. Hey, we're trying to just impact and encourage everyone out there. Thank you so much. See you next time.
Peace.